more on theoretical knowledge, students may not easily understand what they are being taught in the classes. A study in the College of Education in Adbon, Nigeria shows that students tend to pass practical exams more than theoretical knowledge. Therefore, prioritizing practical knowledge will actually help the students to know more, to understand their work more, and to help note memorization, and to help note retention also. Practical STEM skills help long-term knowledge retention. I am a student of science and technology, and I understand this thing better. When I was in SS1, when I was in SS1, SS2, when we were taught the theoretical knowledge, when only based on theory, I didn't really understand it well. But when I go to the laboratory, I got to the fact that I was able to understand this thing better through the practical application of this thing. Yes, there might be laws and theories, but it's the practical application of these things that really brings note retention and understanding. Thank you. All protocols duly observed. Standing before you or there in the doctor, a student of Revd Kuti Memorial Grammar School, here to negate the motion that states the Nigerian education system should focus more on practical STEM skills than theoretical knowledge. As Kotlo, a physicist, scientist, and social scientist once said, and I quote, "There is nothing so practical as a good theory." Yet, today we are told that Nigeria should prioritize practical STEM skills over theoretical knowledge. But we are forgetting one main and significant thing. Practical skills without theory is mere imitation and not innovation. Every engineer who builds a bridge must first understand the complexity of physics, and every software developer relies heavily on algorithms. According to the World Economic Forum 2020, every country that invests heavily on theoretical knowledge has access to far more high-valued interest, patent reports, and so much more. Let me come down to the four corners of Nigeria as a whole. My dear opponent here talked about infrastructural development is the promise of practical skills. But do you know that in Nigeria today, we have been giving our building projects to bricklayers, but when being failed, when columns bend, who is called? A structural engineer who is bounded in theory. He breathes theoretical air and use things like soil science and also lab chemistry. History is also a proof that theory is not abstract. Let us time travel to the year 2019 during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was not trial and error scientists that brought about the COVID-19 vaccine that is saving thousands and millions of lives. Rather, it was those scientists grounded in things like virology and also molecular biology. Now, let's dive into the military concept. Nations don't win wars by mere instinct alone. They win wars by theoretical experience like engineering theory and also mathematical models. Even in the aspect of medicine, a lot of citizens in our country today depend on patent medicine sellers, or as we Nigerians love to call it, chemists. But when these so-called chemists give out wrong drug combinations, wrong dosage, who is then called? A medical doctor who is grounded, who uses things like pharmacology and human anatomy. Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, my opponent kept saying that theoretical knowledge builds a foundation, and it is one that actually builds a foundation for the practical application. But a foundation without structure is useless. The same way a house without a solid foundation will collapse. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not saying that theoretical knowledge should not be included in our Nigerian educational system. We are saying that more focus, time, and attention should be laid on practical STEM skills.
So, theoretical and practical skills without theoretical knowledge is just like saying a house without a structure. Before Dubai could be able to make skyscrapers, they had to use practical STEM skills, not just theoretical knowledge. They prioritize practical STEM skills to put these infrastructures in their country, making them one of the world's leading power today.
Benjamin Franklin once said, and I quote, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn." Nigeria needs problem solvers and not note takers. To compete globally, reduce unemployment, and build industries, but practical STEM skills must take priority in the Nigerian educational system. Thank you. Yes, even countries like Japan and Germany, who you claim are grounded in practical STEM skills, let me remind you, before their hands-on industry training, they have to pass through rigorous classroom learning and also theoretical experiences. Even the websites where we made our researches, the Google and our ChatGPT, were made as a PhD theoretical research at Stanford. Theoretical knowledge also promises specialization. Specialization and expertise is the promise of theoretical knowledge and education.
My opponents made mention that practical skills contribute to national development. Does that mean that theory also does not contribute to national development? According to the World Intellectual Property Organization, the top 5 patent filing countries globally all rely on all have education systems that prioritize theoretical based education. So now tell me, these 5 countries, does that mean that they did not focus on practical skills? They focus on practical skills, but they emphasize on theoretical STEM education than practical. Thank you.
At this stage of a competition like this, all you expect is actually fireworks, and I am sure that they met your expectations because they gave you the best at touching the topic that they are debating upon. Well done, guys. But like I said earlier, I won't be determining who wins or who didn't win, but the judges are ready to give us the results. So over to the judges.
Please, a round of applause again for the debaters. In fact, you have done wonderfully well. Jacobs High School, Revd Kuti Memorial College. But we have to just have a winner. But before we go into that, I want to speak briefly on the topic we have debated. Fine. Talking about theory, it's good, it's necessary. We cannot do without the theoretical aspect because that forms the foundation, that forms the basis of whatever knowledge you want to impact or use to solve problems. And on the other hand, the theoretical aspect is very crucial to be able to fit in to the practical world situation. By and large, integrating both the theory and the practical is what we need to produce skilled, innovative, globally competitive graduates from our institutions. So this is very necessary to be able to drive national development. But sincerely, the 2 schools have been able to argue for and against the motion that we have discussed this evening. Once again, a round of applause for them.
Thank you, Engineer Temitope FNSC, for that wonderful wrap-up. So, as we have it here, we're going to be calling out their mark scored by the schools. So, first of all, I'm going to call for Jacob High School. For their technical content, they scored a total mark of 27.5. While Revd Kuti Memorial College scored a total mark of 32.5. For the rebuter, Jacob High School scored a total mark of 12, while Revd Kuti Memorial College scored a total mark of 16.5. For the use of English, Jacob High School scored a total mark of 33, while Revd Kuti Memorial College scored a total mark of 32. So the total mark scored by Jacob High School is 72.5%, while Revd Kuti Memorial College scored a total of 81%. Thank you.
So at the end of today's debate, we have the highest mark and that's 81% to Revd Kuti Memorial Grammar School, while Jacob High School, Ota, has a total score of 72.50%. So the winner of today's debate is Revd Kuti Memorial Grammar School.
All right, the winner has emerged, and like I said earlier, on this show, Engineering and You, there is no winner, there is no loser, everyone is a winner. Kuti High School will be going to the final, while Jacob High School will be qualified for the third place. So no winner, no loser. Can you please go ahead and congratulate yourselves? All right, on this edition, that is the size of the program. I want to say a big thank you to the sponsor, Prince Njayente Shillong, FNSC, for making this possible and for bringing all the schools together. One thing for sure is that we have been educated, we have been informed, and maybe to a little extent, we have been entertained. Next week is another time. We are going to bring you the second half of the semi-final of this competition. Until next week, bye-bye.